Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 3-Star Lounge. Today, what you're seeing on your screen is God of War 3, specifically the end of God of War 3 and the final conversation between Kratos and Athena, the final conversation had within the Greek world of God of War 3. It is here that if you fall on the side of Kratos being wrong for his destruction of the Greek pantheon, this was his final chance to do right by handing the power of Pandora's box, the power of hope, over to the final remaining god of Olympus, that being Athena, a goddess who has been viewed as more reasonable than any of the other gods of Olympus, and one that has been viewed as an ally wrongfully struck down by Kratos in God of War 2. It is here the goddess of wisdom and war makes her final mistake in her conversation with Kratos, leading to her ultimately not getting what she desires, but revealing her true colors, and Kratos doing his final act of good for the Greek world before presumably dying, but, that didn't take. All this to say that much like her father, brother, cousins, all the other gods of Olympus, Athena's full of shit. And to prove this, we're going to have to take a look at her final conversation with Kratos and how it contradicts information we have about what came before. So, without further ado,
Done well, Kratos. Freed from the bondage of Olympus and cleansed in chaos, mankind is now ready to hear my message.
Look around you, Athena. The world stands in ruin. What good is your message?
Go if you must. But first, I insist you give me the power from inside the box.
The box was empty.
That can't be true. I can see it in your eyes. You used my power to kill Zeus. You still have it as we speak. Don't you understand? When Zeus gathered all the evils and placed them in the box, I dreaded what would happen if it was opened again. And so, I summoned the most powerful weapon in the world, and I placed it in the box.
I told you, it was empty. Pandora was sacrificed in vain. She died because of my need for vengeance.
You must be mistaken. You used my power to kill Zeus. I saw you do it. Unless... Of course. When you opened the box, you released the evils to the gods. Infected them. Changed them. Zeus himself fell prey to the dark evils. This is why he became so enraged and obsessed with your death. He was consumed by the evil, fear. I thought the power I placed in the box was never released. All these years, I assumed you drew from the evils inside to destroy Ares. But I was wrong. The power you took from the box is mine. From it, you gained the strength that Zeus could never destroy. A strength great enough to overcome fear. Locked deep inside of you, Kratos, is hope. It has remained buried, trapped by your guilt and the failures of your past. When you killed Zeus, you must have allowed something to awaken it. What was it, Kratos?
Hope is what makes us strong. It is why we are here. It is what we fight with when all else is lost.
What was it, Kratos?
All I remember is what I have lost.
That is why you should give me the power. I understand its true meaning and where it belongs. I trust you to do the right thing, Kratos.
You shouldn't.
You owe me this, Kratos.
I owe you nothing.
I made you a god. I sheltered you from the wrath of Olympus. I delivered you revenge on Zeus.
It is over, Athena.
You would dare strike me down? Again?
My vengeance ends now.
You fool! What have you done? No! That was meant for me! They will not know what to do with it! You disappoint me, Spartan.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, not only because there's a lot that just happened between these two, but also because Athena likes to speak in a bunch of half-truths, which is a huge difference between her and the rest of her family, because Athena does not tell many outright lies. A lot of the things she says are either mostly true, half true, or very well plausible if we don't actually know definitively one way or the other. Whereas Zeus and Ares and all those other gods, they have no problem lying to Kratos or other characters to get what they want. But Athena, she does it in a very, very wise way, one would say. A lot of her lies are based on what is fact, as the best lies often are, and you get that very early on within the conversation. But first things first, what you get is her congratulating Kratos on what he's done there, as he's overseeing the destruction that is the aftermath of his war against Olympus. And what's fucked up about it is not that she's saying good job as he's overlooking the destruction of the world that he lived in, because anyone who is a resident of this world would understand that that would be the aftermath of what Kratos was trying to do. And no one would understand that more than someone like Kratos, who was the god's go-to problem solver for over a decade. No, the thing that makes this kind of fucked up, as the first thing to say, is when Athena goes into why this was a good job, because the destruction of Olympus leaves the world drenched in so much chaos that the word of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, would be so appealing to the people left over that there is no way that she would not be able to be in charge and have the power that Zeus once had over the people of this world. Kratos obviously isn't trying to hear that shit, so he basically tells her that whatever she's trying to do doesn't matter at this point because they've destroyed everything, and he goes on to the edge of Mount Olympus to do what he'd wanted to do since God of War 1, and that's take the plunge into the Aegean Sea for the last time. But instead of stopping him or saving him like God of War 1, Athena doesn't even really do anything. She just simply says, all right, if you want to go that route, go that route, but before you do that, hand me the power from the box. Hand me what you retrieve from the box. And Kratos now delivers what I call the masterstroke of this conversation by denying that he has the power of the box. I call this a masterstroke because ultimately this is what leads her to laying her cards down bare, and Kratos ultimately releasing the power of hope to the world for the benefit of man and the rest of the Greek world. But denying this also leads us to another one of those half-truths that really shows what Athena was all about, really since the very beginning of this whole saga with the Olympians and Kratos. Because as soon as Kratos says that he doesn't have it, Athena really starts to break down. Her facade starts to crumble immediately. She starts pressing him on it, going, I know you have it, see in your eyes, la 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 la. You saw the scene. But the key here is that moment where she pauses and thinks, because that is where she's trying to think of another way out of this situation. And she starts talking about the box and Zeus and how when he put all the evils of the world into the box originally, Athena put the power of hope in there to counteract it, because she knew that they would need that power should the box ever be open, and blah, 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 blah. She then went on to say that Zeus, when Kratos opened the box, became obsessed with his death, and that led to the events of God of War 2 and 3, or at least that's the implication. But we would know, because of the events of God of War, Ghost of Sparta, that Athena at the very least was complicit in the events of Kratos' life, because she was there with Ares when they kidnapped Deimos in Kratos' youth. Not only this, in the beginning of that very same game, it is Athena who is trying to stop Kratos from going to Atlantis to find the very information that he finds there, that being that Zeus is his father, whom kidnapped his mother to hide her there, as well as Zeus being the architect of his brother's disappearance by sending Ares and Athena to his village to kidnap Deimos. And interesting note, it is Athena whom saved Kratos' life at that time, because when Deimos is kidnapped, he tries to stop Ares, and Ares, being Ares, says, you know what, I'm just going to kill this little boy. But Athena says no, because they are only there to retrieve Deimos. Now, if I were being unfair to Athena, I would say that it was part of her plan all along, from this moment for Kratos to go and become the person that he becomes. But I don't think that she knew at the time that they took the wrong boy. I think that she found out they took the wrong boy the same time everyone else did, that being when he kills Ares in God of War 1. Continuing on, she goes on telling Kratos that he owes her everything, being that she made him a god and she brought him the vengeance of Zeus that he sought, even though that was not originally what he wanted. The only thing he ever wanted from the gods was for them to get rid of his memories of his old family. He understood that what was in the past was in the past. There was no getting rid of the curse, and there was no bringing them back. All he ever wanted was for the eraser of the memories of what he'd done, and they could not even do that. He never asked to be a god. He never asked for all these things, and initially when he was dealing with him, he never asked for vengeance against Zeus. But to say that she was the one that brought him that is a bit of a stretch, because while she may have pointed him in the right direction for reasons that are her own, it was Kratos that had to do what needed to be done, and she was not there at any point and during any of those steps when the rubber met the road. Well, unless you count the initial time Kratos was ready to kill Zeus, and as he prepared to plunge the sword of Olympus into Zeus, ending him once and for all, it was Athena who jumped in front of her father, thus ending her life and saving Zeus. Now, I do think she did this on purpose, because I do believe it is that act of sacrifice for her father that led to her being reborn in this more ghostly state you see at the end of God of War 3, allowing her to survive the destruction of Olympus, to be in this position to receive the power of hope, to do whatever it is she was intending to do with it. But unfortunately for Athena, she was unable to convince Kratos to hand over the power of hope to her. He instead picked up the blade of Olympus, but not to strike her down as she initially thought, because naturally Kratos is a weapon to be wielded by the gods and that is his only purpose. But no, instead he picked up the blade of Olympus to end his own life, as well as to release the power of hope into the world, causing Athena to lose her shit one last time, yelling out how the power was meant for her and that the people won't know what to do with it. But defiantly, Kratos accepts his fate and is pleased releasing the power of hope into the world, because this is the power to kill a god. A power so great that even as Athena stands as the last goddess of Olympus, she is only concerned with retrieving the power of hope from Kratos, a power that he ends up dispersing to everyone, much as Prometheus did with fire. If I haven't made it clear why Athena's full of shit by now, let me try again one last time in short. Athena, throughout the entirety of the Greek leg of God of War, was playing both sides. And if I'm going to be generous, she was playing both sides since the end of God of War 1, when she saved Kratos from jumping into the Aegean Sea. Because she was aware of what Zeus did, she was aware of the prophecy. And when it became clear that the prophecy was referring to Kratos and not Deimos, the goddess of wisdom and war found a way to come out on top when the war was said and done. And that nearly came to fruition, except for one problem. That problem being the Spartan who defied the gods. And that's all I have for you on this one. But before we get out of here, I do want to respond to a comment I received on my last video by New Hybrid 101. I thought this comment was very interesting, and you'll see it on the screen. You can read it at your leisure, but if you don't want to read it at all, here's the short and skinny of it. They were expressing their belief that Hercules in the God of War universe should have gotten their redemption as well. They should have gotten a second chance, much like Kratos did, because their stories are so similar, being men who were tricked into killing their families as well as serving the gods for X amount of years for some kind of atonement for that. But there is a very, very big difference from Hercules to Kratos in terms of getting second chances, because Hercules, his story ends in mythology. He dies and he gets immortalized in the stars as the god of strength. He may come back. I don't know. I didn't see nothing about that. I've never heard anything like that, but that was the end of Hercules to my mind. And in the God of War universe, the end of Hercules is what we saw in that video. You know, he fights Hercules, gets smashed down on the last day of Olympus. But Kratos, on the other hand, is killed by Zeus in God of War 2 prior to the events of God of War 3, leading him to go back in time and all that jazz. And therein lies the rub. The one time Kratos is killed and receives a quote-unquote second chance, he wasn't given that chance. Kratos took that chance from the jaws of defeat. He was dead and gone. Zeus got him with the Blade of Olympus, got all of his godly energy out of it. Checkmate. Kratos should have been gone. But Kratos just said, fuck that. I'm not dead. I'm coming back to beat that ass. So he wasn't really given a second chance. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that he did which resulted in him being alive again. And when it comes to God of War 4, that is where things get a little weird, because yeah, he's there, and based on what we saw at the end of God of War 3, there is no reason he should be. And that could really just be a case of the reality of making art bumping up against the art itself, whereas you want to make God of War 4, you want to continue God of War with Kratos, but he was supposed to be dead, so you just say, fuck that, he's not dead no more. But this also could just be another one of those things where the death didn't take. We never really saw Kratos die. We presumed him to be dead and had every reason to assume him dead, but we never really did see the life leave his eyes. We never saw Kratos get buried. So it stands to reason just as much as any other that he didn't actually die. I know that may not seem like the most likely outcome, but it is plausible given what we do know and the fact that we see him again. So it just didn't take. Whereas the previous death, he said, fuck that, I'm not dead. This death didn't take. And when he tried to jump onto the Aegean Sea at the God of War 1, Athena, for whatever reason, whether that be her own reasons or whether she legitimately thought Kratos deserved this chance to be the God of War, kept him from doing that. All this is to say that when it comes to Kratos getting second chances versus Hercules getting second chances, Hercules didn't get a second chance because one, the story's not about him, and two, no one really received second chances in this story, in this world. Getting a second chance isn't even something that was supposed to happen. Being dead was supposed to be it for you. You die, that was supposed to be it. And Kratos coming back is an anomaly. It's the exception that proves the rule. But I really like that comment. I'm very appreciative of it. Just having to think about that was very fun for me. And if anyone has any thought-provoking comments in this video, the most thought-provoking one for me will get another response like this in the next one. So that is it for this one. If you like the video, hit the like button, let the algo know that you like that shit. If you agree with me or you think I'm tweaking or you just got something to say, go ahead, drop it in the comments section. And like I said before, the most thought-provoking one to my mind will get a response at the end of the next video. In the meantime, if you've ever wondered what a Justice League comprised of actors with the power sets from all of their movies would look like, you can find out that, plus more things you may have never thought about, on the potluck where you get what you get, where me and my friends discuss such nonsense with the seriousness it deserves. Now, I hope to see you next time in the 3-Star Lounge. Bye now.